In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this really easy, whimsical, illustrated Christmas card. So if you like it, please keep on watching. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I noticed that a lot of you have been creating these holiday cards with your kids. So I thought it was important to do something a little bit easier that literally anybody can do. My idea for this card was just to fill the entire space with Christmas gifts. So right now I'm just taking a ruler and a light pencil crayon and I'm just sort of making these totally randomly positioned box shapes. And then we're gonna work on filling them in and decorating them. I'm using my Prima Watercolor Confections palette in the Woodland shades. And I'm just gonna be using the red tones, the pinky red, orangey tones from this palette, as well as some of the yellows. You can do any color that you like. I just kind of wanted to keep a couple of them complementary. So you're just gonna start by filling in the boxes one by one, and you'll notice that I'm leaving a really thin line of white space between each box. This is just so that the paint doesn't transfer from one box to the other. So doing it that way allows us to apply all of the colors at once without having to wait for each different shape to dry before we go on to the next one. So just be really careful when you do this and try to get that really thin line in between. We're gonna be covering those up later, so don't worry too much about how it looks. And I'm just gonna be using a wet on dry technique for this entire card. What that means is we are applying the wet paint directly onto a dry surface. So I'll finish filling those in and then I'll let the entire thing dry and then we'll start decorating. Okay, so now that the card is completely dry, you're gonna wanna think about the different designs and decorations you can add to each gift. I'm using a really thin liner brush for this. As always, everything I use will be linked below. And for the first one, I just decided to create these really simplified Christmas tree looking shapes. I'm just doing 3 simple diagonal lines adjacent to one another, and I'm gonna create a pattern that way. And I'm going to be using the same colors that I've used on the initial boxes. I'm just going to be using a darker concentration of that paint, so meaning adding less water to the paint. For this next one, I decided to add some ribbon detail. So I'm just going to paint in a couple diagonal stripes right here. And then I'll add a little bit more ribbon detail on this box over here. Keeping it simple, I'm gonna do some stripes on this one diagonally. I'm gonna use that same yellow shade, but once again, I'm just going to keep it more concentrated. So it's gonna look darker and it's going to layer nicely over top of that initial background. For this next box, I decided to do some really easy snowflakes. So I'm just gonna create a plus sign and then an X in the middle just to create the little snowflake shapes. And I'm going to scatter them around, sort of creating a pattern that repeats. Once again, using a darker shade of that same color. For the next one, I'm just going to do some randomly sized polka dots. So I'm going to do some larger ones, some smaller ones, and again, using that same yellow color from the palette. For the one at the top here, I wanted to create some little feathery, wispy little pattern images. So I'm just using that fine liner again and creating these lines with little wispy lines coming off of them. And I'm just going to scatter those around the entire area. For the larger box that we did the ribbons on previously, I'm going to use a larger round brush and I'm just going to dot on some polka dots, and I'm going to be alternating these with white in a technique that we're going to be doing shortly. So I'm going to grab my white pen. This is a Posca pen. And these are really popular because of the opaqueness of the colors. I love the white one because it is so opaque and it's pretty much exactly like using paint but in a pen form. So I'm just going to use that to create some detail. I tried using a ruler with this first and I noticed that my ruler was just smudging it, so I went freehand with it, and I'm just going to trace along those lines using my most steady hand and trying to cover up those white lines. Now we'll go over this again a second time just to make sure that they're nice and opaque and have the right thickness that I want. And then I'm just going to use the tip of the pen to create some further details, adding that whimsical illustrated touch to the rest of the painting and just to tie the white in with the other gifts. And really that's all there is to this one. I love the colors in this. I love how easy it was. And like I said in the beginning, literally anybody could do this. So this is definitely one that you should have your kids try. They can get really creative with how they decorate each package. You can even personalize a couple packages, add little gift name tags and stuff like that. And I will be taking your suggestions for new holiday card videos. I already have a couple in mind that you guys have suggested, so I hope that you liked this one. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. It really does help me out. And I look forward to creating some new ones. If you have any ideas, leave them below, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.